Yo, man, what's good, YouTube, man? It's your boy, McKenna, aka Mr. Napper, boy, man. Today, video, man, we got white MLB banned Dwarfs from baseball. Let's get into it.
Decision that effectively banned little people from playing Major League Baseball, ending the career of a 3'7" dwarf who was on pace to be the most productive player in MLB history. He is the only dwarf to ever play Major League Baseball. He got paid $100, was instructed to jump out of a birthday cake, and was under orders from this man that told him if he swung, he would be murdered.
$100. I mean, $100 back then, back in those times, was a lot. Though, so man, that makes sense. See, to us, $100 now to play a sport, but back then, that's a lot of money. Like, you got back there, that's a lot of money to them.
This is Bill Veeck, and he is the reason why MLB banned little people in 1951. Today, this rule may not even be legal thanks to the Americans with Disability Act of 1990. If a team signed a little person today, there's a good chance MLB would have to reverse the ban, and teams and executives have actually debated doing this. In 2009, the York Revolution, an independent minor league team, signed Dave Flood, a 3'2" radio host. They invited him to spring training with a chance to make the team. His job was to go to the plate, stand there, not swing, and see if a pitcher could throw 3 strikes. He went to the plate 4 times, only got walked once, struck out 3 times, and was cut from the team. However, Flood and many other observers blamed the umpire for this result. Understandably, he wasn't used to calling balls and strikes on a strike zone this small, which according to MLB rules is the area over home plate from the midpoint between a batter's shoulders and the top of his uniform pants, and a point just below the kneecap. This is Shohei Ohtani's strike zone. This would be Ohtani's strike zone if he shrunk 3 feet. Some believe a zone this small would make throwing a strike impossible, and if Ohtani woke up tomorrow unable to run, unable to field, 200 pounds lighter, and 3 feet shorter, he'd actually be more productive. But in 2014, the Buckingham Bluefish tried this in the Atlantic League, and again, the 4'1" batter struck out, showing that professional pitchers can hit small strike zones.
I mean, they're probably not used to that, though. They're probably not, like, really used to that. You think that they can make, like, a little people league or not? I don't know that's really be able to happen, but do y'all think that can happen, like a little people league or not? Who really knows, y'all? Who really knows that they can do that? I don't really know if they can do that, but y'all let me know if you think they can actually do that for real. For real, you know what I'm saying?
But Bill Veeck had a better idea to make the strike zone even smaller, using a loophole in the rulebook. The strike zone isn't created based on a player's height. It's created when the batter is in his stance and prepared to swing at a pitched ball. Meaning, if a 6'7" batter crouched low enough, he could have the same strike zone as a 4' batter, as long as this was his natural stance and he did it every time. So theoretically, if a team hired a dwarf who already had a small strike zone and had him crouch in the box, making his strike zone even smaller, nobody could get him out, as long as there was a team crazy enough to try it. The Yankees did this in the 1920s because a dwarf convinced the team he had mythical powers. He never actually got to play. The team would just rub him for good luck before at-bats. The Athletics had a dwarf for good luck too, and even let him coach first base until the league banned him from coaching first base.
You know what's really crazy? How like we can still see pictures from the 20s, the 10s, the 30s. You know how crazy that is? That we can compare those now to pictures now. It's, you know how, do y'all know how crazy that really is? So we can tell now for real. You know how crazy that, yeah. Think about it. Do you? Trying to tell you. Come on,
and even Pedro Martinez began hanging out with Dominican actor Nelson de la Rosa during the 2004 playoffs because he was convinced he brought him good luck. But none of the following ever got into a game. The only owner crazy enough to actually try that was Bill Veeck. Veeck was a chain-smoking war veteran who lost his leg in World War II, wore a wooden leg which he used as an ashtray. He was the person who installed the IV at Wrigley Field, invented the take me out to the ball game tradition at Wrigley, and was the first person ever to put players' last names on the back of their jerseys.
Okay.
He would also pull off the most insane stunts possible to get fans into the stadium. He once hired a clown and made him the first base coach, until the league got mad and made him stop. He signed a
what? Hey, I mean, hey, anything to get people in the seats to watch the game. Come on now. Come on now. You gotta think outside the box, yo. You gotta be smart with it, you feel me?
56-year-old to play for his team so he could claim he had the oldest player of all time. Minnie Minoso did play and became the only player ever to play in 5 different decades. He had a promotion where he gave away 36 lobsters. He had a promotion where fans became the manager for a game. He gave them signs and let them vote on decisions the manager was supposed to make. He even introduced the first exploding scoreboard, then took this to another level by exploding thousands of disco records on the field in between a doubleheader, which caused thousands to rush the field, causing a riot at the stadium, and they had to cancel.
What would y'all do if y'all see a little person in a professional like league? Like, would y'all be like, "Oh, this is a prank? Are they trying to prank us?" Like, what would y'all really think? Like, for real?
To the second game. When he managed a team in the minors, he installed a fence that would move back 15 feet every time the opposing team came to the plate. Then moved 15 feet back in when his team came to the plate. But his most infamous move was when he broke baseball by putting a dwarf on his team. Vec was doing a promotion and wanted to add a surprise that stirred up publicity for his team and sponsors, so he hired Eddie Goodell, paying $100, which was the minimum required payment for a dwarf act at the time, then bought a cake to have Goodell jump out of. According to Vec, the cake costs more than it cost to hire Eddie Goodell.
Bro, do you see, like, look how the baseball fields used to look back then, like, oh my.
He strategically mailed Goodell's contract to the league headquarters on a Saturday. Since they wouldn't see it until Monday, they had no chance to void the contract, officially making Goodell a major leaguer. Vec had him crouched down in a stance that made his strike zone an inch and a half tall, and told him he was going to be on the roof of the stadium with a high-powered rifle, and if he even looked like he was going to swing, he was going to shoot him dead. Goodell, wearing number 1/8, climbed out of a birthday cake in between the doubleheader. Apparently nervous by the large crowd, told Vec.
But then, you know how I think back then the shoes was made out of metal, right? It wasn't metal like the spikes.
He didn't want to bat anymore. Vec then threatened to kill him again. In the first inning, Goodell pinch hit, and to everyone's surprise, a dwarf was at the plate. He walked on 4 straight pitches, went to first base, immediately got a pinch runner, and exited the game to a massive applause and laughter. Goodell instantly became known across the country and booked somewhere from $60,000 to $120,000 worth of bookings in today's dollars within a week of the stunt.
That's
a week
crazy.
later, he was arrested for public intoxication and told the police he was a professional baseball player.
Oh, he stopped him from being drunk. Yo.
Vec would keep hiring him and once booked him to dress up as a Martian, invade the field, and abduct 2 players in another stunt years later. Goodell tragically passed away a decade later after getting beat up on the street while leaving a bowling alley.
What? Wow, why? He creeped home, crawled into his bed, and was... Wow.
And never got the chance to hit again, because the day after the stunt, the American League voided his contract, and MLB made a new rule that required the league president to approve each contract before a player enters a game, effectively banning little people from playing Major League Baseball. 50 years later, Commissioner Bud Selig doubled down on the ban, saying, quote, "It turned the game into a farce." But how effective would a team of little people actually be? Assuming the little person would be ineffective.
See,
in
that's
the
how it
field.
sounds. So how would that be like if they made like a little person league? Would that even work? I don't know. Who knows?
And on
It
the
probably
base
won't
pass,
work.
they would
though.
only be able to hit once per game, then be subbed out for a runner. According to calculations done by Nate Silver, if a little person led the game off with a walk, he would increase his team's winning odds by 4.6%. If he did this every single game, he would be worth somewhere between 7 to 8 wins. Last season, That would have made him the 4th most productive position player in baseball by WAR. But that's assuming he would get walked every time. The last 2 times people have tried this resulted in the little people striking out. It's clear some pitchers would still hit the strike zone. According to baseball statistician Tom Tango, a walk is worth 0.03 wins, and an out is worth negative 0.027 wins. So for a little person who can only walk or get out and cannot field or run, he would need an on-base percentage of .530 to be an average yet serviceable MLB player.
I mean, I get why, but I mean, just let them try out. See, well, you never know. Just let them try out. No matter if they're smart, let them try out. You feel me?
Question is, could
does it matter
MLB players
just they smart?
strike them out more than 50% of the time? Major leaguers like Francisco Rodriguez don't think so, saying he'd rather throw to Babe Ruth than a little person. A former general manager for the Astros doubted they could, saying if he was still a GM and MLB lifted the ban, he'd be willing to sign a little person. And author Todd Gallagher assembled an entire team of little people to face former major leaguer Dana Keuchel. He walked the first 5 batters in a row, ended up walking 7 of the 10 batters he faced, gave up 4 runs, left the game, and the team of little people finished with an on-base percentage of .700. If a little person could consistently get walked at this rate, they would be the most effective pinch hitter in the game, and all it would take is someone like Bill Veeck with the balls to challenge MLB.
Hey, you never know. You know what I'm saying? You really never know.